it's one thing to question answers and to be rebellious, right? And they're two different things. Right. To question answers and to be rebellious. This is more about questioning. I found. I'm not telling you. That's what I'm thinking. Is that the case for you? Because a lot of it, it seems like you were saying, this is what you told me. Runaway is a song where you say, all right, here's what I thought it was, or what you told me it was. It ain't like that anymore, right? So I want to talk to you about the mood of this record and the fact that there is a lot of questioning for the sake of not being rebellious, but learning.
I definitely think that being rebellious is a part of life, but if you really want to be a rebel, then you question everything that comes up to you and not go out and try to fight it, but try to understand it and learn it. And that's really how you can understand it and consciously make the right decision to question it the right way.
Is that one of the things that tells you when you're starting to...
And let's go for a right and reading.
Okay.
And gentleman and 4.
Okay.
2.
So then is that one of the signs that you are growing up when you realize that it's more to rebel? And when did you realize that, hey, you know what, we don't just have to pick fights?
Probably somewhere during my college experience. It was like I went to art school. I went to a school where we basically did a lot of painting, and you'd have to take something that you worked really hard on and put it up in front of a class in front of 30 people, and just let them rip it to shreds. And you'd have to form an opinion of what you did and keep your personal feelings out of it. And that's something that is a big probably something that helped me grow a lot. And that's something that helps us when we write music, you know what I mean? Because like when I come up with a part and I bring it to Chester, I'm like, hey, this is what I'm thinking for these lyrics, like, is that cool? He's got to be able to say, this is what I like and this is what I don't like, and I have to be able to just take that and say, okay, and he has to do the same thing. Everybody has to do that.
Is it difficult to do that? Because I mean, you write a riff or you write a lyric and you feel, hey, this really is what I want to get out, but the rest of the guys don't feel that way.
It can be. I mean, initially, when that kind of issue comes up, initially it can be. But what's really good about working with multiple people who have just as much talent as the other person, it's like I can say that, and then Mike will be able to come back at me and say, well, we can say that, but we can find another way to say it that might come across better, or maybe won't be as definitive and maybe a little bit more vague, because that's what we try to do. We try to make an outline for somebody to actually fill in the blanks for themselves, and create the story for themselves.
We each have our own little like quirks that we kind of like will lean towards one style of writing, and that may not be the best way. Like he said he may write something that's really like straight ahead, whereas I might write something that's really like what our producer Don would say, poor me. Like I write a lot of stuff that's just like, oh God, I'm so bummed or whatever. But we find a way to put those things that are a little more, hopefully a little more intelligent than like just whatever comes out of your head, and work with them a little bit and come up with something we're really proud of.
When bands put together records and they write lyrics, a lot of times they'll say to us, well, we want to leave it open to the interpretation of the fan, which is fine and all, but that's not how you write the record, right? I mean, obviously you have your own interpretation of it.
Absolutely. We have a starting point for ourselves, but we put something out there that is general enough that somebody can take their experience and relate it to what is in the song, you know what I mean? So that they can just relate their own story to it.
Right, much can be made of a band's first gig and what happens with it, right? We hear about the Whiskey in L.A. There was a time, actually the venue's always been a place where bands play. There's some of their first gigs. It only became famous years later because, you think the Doors would have played there. We saw the movie, and I was down there a few weeks, about a month and a half ago, and we saw how many young bands were trucking their equipment into that. Has it become the breeding ground?
That whole the Strip has always been. I mean, that's where we grew up. I played there a lot when I was in this band. I've always played there, and the Brad and Rob, our guitarist and drummer, had played in bands before even I did, so they had been playing there too. And it's always been somewhere that the young bands go to try out their stuff, and bands from other places in the country come down and try their hand at it too, because there are so many labels in the area. It's really competitive over there, yeah.
Is that good or bad for what worked for you? Obviously you have a deal and you're out there, but at the time?
It's kind of weird because when we shopped for our deal, we really weren't playing out that much. We pretty much just focused all of our energy on the songs, and that really was our basis for what we wanted to do. And then after we got the songs together, we put the demo together, and then we started showcasing for the labels and doing a few shows here and there. So really, we kind of skipped the whole let's try to go get signed by playing at a lot of venues in front of a lot of people. And even though we did play for a lot of our fans and everything, we just went mainly to the songwriting, and that's really what I think got us the deal.
It's got to be more. What is it about where you're from that makes it so hot, if you think about it, and for different styles of music? I mean,
yeah. Well, you know what though? I mean, because we're from different. Chester's from Arizona. I'm from LA. Like, we're not necessarily from the same place. I think it might be like, I'm almost starting to think it's like a generational thing where people, a while ago it was like people listen to one type of music and that was their thing, but now, especially with the internet where people can actually go out there and just find whatever they want to listen to, I think people's range of music is broadening. And I think that, I mean, not to say everybody has the same taste that we do, but I know that we like a lot of different types of music, and a lot of our fans do as well.
What you hear on this record, actually the title is a perfect title for it. You'll hear me, a band who can play something heavier, something introspective, which someone will say which is Deftones, but that's fine. But then you add another element to it, which there's. Oh, I think we got stuck. That's fine. There's you can hear that you guys appreciate electronic music in a way that, like you said, would never have happened. Is it the internet, or is it just that we've grown up listening to? We've heard Van Halen, we've heard Guns N' Roses, we've heard Nirvana. Now we need something more than that.
Maybe so. I think it's a combination of all that. Yeah, we've heard. I mean, we've heard a lot of things. We have a lot of experience with music, and we have a lot of access to new stuff. And people are really coming up with great new things, innovative things.
Does hybrid theory mean more than just the combination of sounds to you?
Hybrid theory is definitely a lot more than just the combination of sounds. We like to bring in not only the different combinations of the sounds, but we also have a heavy aspect, a softer aspect. We have a more aggressive side and a more sensitive side, even lyrically too. So there's a lot of different ideals that go into our music and what we're all about. Every person has a wide range of colors and personalities and things like that. So we try to bring all those things to our music too.
Yeah, and that's like Chester said about the different sides, like the more intense side and the more sensitive side of the music. It's like that's what we're trying to do with the cover. The cover art is the soldier with the dragonfly wings. It's like we want to that's another take on our hybrid. We're a hybrid of musical styles, but we're also a hybrid of louder and quieter elements also.
You have the frat boy element of rock and roll that does so well, but it seems like if you put any sense of sincere emotion into your music, you'll connect with your audience in a way that you can't if you're a frat boy Adidas rock band. And to be emotional, like you said, you write those songs that, oh, poor me songs. You put yourself on the line when you do that, and then someone who's never met you thinks, all right, he's got a problem, or this is bugging him.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, the challenge with doing that is you want to be entertaining. You want people to be entertained when they listen to your music, and that's really, we tried when we were writing songs. Some of them may have more poor me type of lyrics or whatever, but it's still entertaining to listen to. It's still fun, and you still get something out of it. And that's what we tried really hard when we were writing the lyrics. That was the most difficult hurdle to jump, was what's too much and what isn't enough. Where's that fine line? And I think we found it. At least we've come really close. So
we're happy. I mean, that's what's really nice for us, is that we have something that we can listen to, and we are perfectionists. We really are hard on ourselves when it comes to writing music and most things, like playing shows, whatever. And I think that this is something that we can listen to from beginning to end and be happy with.
Do you guys ever run the risk within your own little group of overthinking, like with your group of friends?
Yeah.
We're pretty bad at that, actually.
Yeah, because all of us are perfectionists, and it's like it's one thing to have one guy or two guys in the band that write and who are perfectionists, let alone having 5 or 6 guys in the band that are all perfectionists too. So we have a tendency to overthink things, and that's one of the privileges of having a producer in there doing the record with you, is that he can go, enough's enough, guys, it's good, or now you need to think a lot more on this one because it's not good enough. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's really the benefit of actually working with a really good producer.
Does doing that kind of stuff ever take the fun away? In that it's not you standing on stage, drilling out a song the way you want it to. If someone says, "Nah, we should try this," and your thought is, "Nah, dude, we're just playing a rock song."
I think it kind of comes back to what I was saying earlier about like accepting criticism for what it's worth, and we definitely do that. When it comes to making a decision about a part, we keep our ears open to what is being put out there for us, and if it works for everyone, then it's used. If it's not, then it's not.
Is there something on this record, a song, Pushing Me Away is a good example of a song where you lay it out. And this is who we are at this point. This is where I was at that point,
Right.
when I wrote those lyrics.
Right.
Is there a song for you that you say, now you know something about me that perhaps I wouldn't have told you?
I think Crawling is that song for me. Crawling is a really emotional song. It's got a lot of very deep lyrics, and it's kind of like admitting something that you don't really like to admit, which is having a problem with yourself. You know what I mean? And sometimes you have to learn how to deal with living inside of your own skin and being the person that you are, day to day. And that's not something to be ashamed of or anything like that. It's just something that isn't always peachy. You know what I mean? You're not always going to be exactly the person that you want to be or the person that you thought you were.
And it's so hard to get away from yourself if you're not doing something you like.
You got to live with yourself for the rest of your life.
Hopefully, anyway.